You can invest in real estate anywhere in the US. You can be thousands of miles away from it and still manage the property yourself. So why not invest in the highest cash flowing markets or even in the highest appreciating markets? Don't allow the limiting beliefs of others to slow down your investing journey. All you need are the right processes in place to take your real estate to the next level. Now, in order to long distance invest, someone is going to have to be in person. This person, however, is not you. So who is it?
Wait a minute! Who are you?
Well, it's your team. The people who will perform the day-to-day work on the property. The people who will be your eyes and ears providing feedback on any necessary item. It all starts with the cleaner of your property. Once you've identified and vetted the cleaner, you will plan to have them take over the regular cleanings of the property. Your cleaner will be the one to stock your cleaner's closet and make sure the house is full of supplies and never running out. Your cleaner can also be someone who looks out for damage or missing item. They don't just have to fulfill the role of cleaner, so understand just how much your cleaner is willing to do. Now, if you noticed, I mentioned a cleaner's closet. This is a space for your cleaner to store excess linens and supplies. This closet needs to be locked off and inaccessible to your guests because they will use all of your excess supplies if you let them. Guests are a lot like wild animals in that way. Lastly, when it comes to having a cleaner, make sure you have a couple backups. Once you've identified your primary cleaner, there's nothing worse than an injury the cleaner suffers causing your property to not be cleaned. Also good to have options if prices get raised and you aren't willing to raise it. So, story time. I've had it where cleaners have broken their wrists, their ankles, either on the way to your property or earlier in the day. And honestly, it kind of puts you in a real bind because a lot of times you'll have a same day arrival. So what do you do in those instances? And having a backup cleaner, like backup on backup on backup, is how you're really going to save yourself. Additionally, there's a lot of cleaners who are rather new to all of this process and they think that they need to raise their prices or they're not getting paid enough. And the truth is that you're actually paying your cleaners based on like a lot of volume. So even though the prices might be lower, you're getting them a lot more work than they typically would get from a residential clean, right? So like that's kind of how the pricing should work, and it has to work from the perspective of occupancy. So if your cleaning price is too high, people aren't going to book your property, and then it won't have to be cleaned anyway, so you won't even have to worry about it, right? So make sure that you're taking the pricing into consideration as well for your property and just kind of comparing it to like what your nightly rate looks like. Now, the main question you should be really asking yourself is, how handy are you? If you aren't a handy person, the path forward is actually quite simple. Use other people who are professionals to take care of the handiwork for you. If you are a pretty competent person with your hands, you need to let go of your ego. Allow yourself the opportunity to use other people's time. You can always talk about the problems you are having with the property over the phone, so there's no need to even be in person. And really, I mean, a lot of this whole real estate investing and considering doing long distance and automation starts to kind of hit at the ego because you think, oh, I'm the only one who can do this. I'm the only one who's capable of getting this job done or making sure that it's done the way that I need it to be.
It's like, I was made for this.
Instead, you kind of have to look at how it's providing you a better life. You're able to step away from your property and your property is just fine. All right? You're not the only person that can handle these things. If whether you are a handyman or you have handy capable skills, like that's wonderful, that's great. It's awesome that you know it and it's going to help you to test the handyman that you hire's knowledge. But if you're not a capable person, trust in the experts. I mean, that's what I would do. So I would have a property where we would have a plumber have to come, and guess what? I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to fix plumbing issues. So I hire the professional, and you should too. And interviewing your handyman, have a list of questions, send them a W-9 to sign in order to get this process done the right way. And what a W-9 is it's basically saying, hey, I report these expenses, you should report them as income. And it's the legal way of kind of doing business with contract workers. This is one of the biggest hurdles people have when it comes to long distance investing and managing of their own properties. It's always, what if something happens with the toilet in the middle of the night? How can I trust that it'll be done the right way? These are both poor thought processes because you're assuming you won't have the processes in place and that there's no way to prove the work is performed. Instead, create a plan for these emergencies and what steps you will take when an issue comes up. Additionally, force the handyman to take photos and videos of the issue and the fix. You can also rely on other professional servicers in the area if the extent of the work is too much for your handyman. For instance, identify a plumber you want to work with beforehand, so you have levels and categories of the fixes you will need to make. And typically, if you're working with a good handyman, they're going to say, hey, this is above what I'm capable of doing. I suggest you work with this expert anyway. So, and so they're already self-identifying that for you, and that's indicative of a good handyman. You should also consider identifying the subscribe button down below. All these insights came at a lot of expenses to me, so I'd greatly appreciate it if you'd go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Understanding the technology we have in today's world is only going to benefit you. Tired of cleaning your Airbnb? Then utilize someone else's time and find a way to pay them. And this can be done through using the app Turno, where you can find both the cleaner and pay them through the platform. The next step is charging the cleaning fee to the guest, causing the entire experience to be completely passed through. This means you pay nothing and your property is serviced. When I started with Airbnb, the way that it looked is I was house hacking, so my wife and I bought a duplex. We lived in the downstairs, we had people in the upstairs, and we wanted to live our lives a little bit. We were already kind of giving in a little bit by doing this house hacking thing. We had to live with other people, right, in order to save some money. And so we wanted to continue to automate those processes. And maybe it comes from like a lazy place, right? but it ultimately, like, if you want to be a true investor, you're going to hire people. You're going to have other people take care of your problems. And so this was kind of the start. Finding Turnover B&B, which now is known as Turno, allowed us to identify a cleaner, set them up, have all the payments go through automatically, so it was super easy. And then that was it from our end. There was nothing more that we really had to do. And that was just the beginning, right? Then we started getting smart locks. So we wouldn't even have to be there. We didn't have to let people in. We didn't have to give people a key. There was all these different processes that were already happening and really saving us, so that when we moved to Denver a few years later, then it was like, oh, we're like 1,000 miles away from home in Minnesota, and it's not the end of the world. We're still managing it just fine. We could always find people in the area that we can pay to do services or take care of the property itself. So there really was no reason for me to continue to think, oh, only I can do this, or nobody knows more than I do, right? And so continue to leverage other people, just create processes for them. It's going to help you in the long run. It's going to make it seem like a much better process overall, and it's going to make you feel better because you're going to know what to do when bad things happen. So that's it for today. If you found value in this video or have questions, please leave a comment down below. Please don't forget to subscribe, and until next time, peace.